Senatorial candidate J.V. Ejercito, who is running as an independent, had initially hoped he will be adopted by the uniteam of Marcos-Duterte tandem. But over the weekend, he attended a rally of the local party of presidential bet Manila Mayor Isko Moreno. Will he be joining the Morenos slate? And he now joins us on hot copy. Running for the Senate again, re-electionist J.V. Ejercito. Good morning to you, J.V. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Karen. Good morning.
All right, so let's talk about that first. Will you be joining Moreno's slate?
Actually, Karen, I am adopted by most of the presidential candidates. No? Of course, your Isko just endorsed me last night in Manila in their proclamation rally. I've been joining the Lacson Soto tandem also because I'm also NPC. And I have joined also Manny Pacquiao down south. No? And also, to be fair to BBM, Senator Bongbong Marcos, when we bumped into each other in Pampanga, he even told me that I can join the rallies, no? Because we are really, we have been friends for a long time. He said that walang problema, no? Sumama ka, wala namang pipigil siya. But just the same, Karen, I, of course, to refrain from having controversies, siguro it's better rin. It's difficult running as an independent, but I think it's also gaining, it has its pros and cons, and I'm able to elaborate more on my plans and programs and my accomplishments. So I'm moving alone most of the time, but sometimes I join my seatmates, Senators Gatchalian, Villanueva, and Senator Mig Zubiri. So that's at least once a week. So it's very difficult, but I'm gaining ground, Karen. I'm quite satisfied that given the circumstances that I'm in, the surveys indicate that I'm moving up steadily.
Okay, before we talk about the surveys first, it's quite interesting that you said you bumped into former Senator Bongbong Marcos in Pampanga, and he said you can join the rallies. Yes. Several times you expressed disappointment that you weren't part of the Uniteam ticket. Sabi mo, sayang wala ako. In another interview, you said you felt left out. Did you ever ask Marcos and even Sara Duterte why you were not included in the ticket, considering you even in many occasions have gone riding with Sara Duterte?
Yes, Karen. I just have to be honest, though. Of course, because most of the presidential candidates, the presidential candidates, have adopted me, and I have personal relationships with most of them. I worked with most of them. With Senator Marcos, we've been together in Senate for 3 years, and in fact, we were able to pass the SK reform law together. And we know that my father was one of those last man to leave Malacanang in 1986. And my mother is really a certified loyalist during those times. And we've been friends for a long time. And Mary Day Sara naman, she's a friend because we both ride together in Mindanao. So I was really also puzzled that I was not included, given the fact that I had good relationships with them. Plus, Karen, more than that is that I think I have performance. No, I have decent performance in Senate, having passed 2 landmark legislations, the Universal Healthcare Law, and the creation of the Department of Human Settlements, among others. And I have a clean track record, Karen. No? Hindi po ako bagahe sa kahit na sino mag-endorso at magdala sa akin kasi malinis ang track record ko. I have an unblemished track record in public in my 18 years in being a public servant.
So what do you think happened? Did you ever talk to them? The irony in this whole situation is Uniteam is carrying your brother, former Senator Jinggoy Estrada.
Well, probably it's because of the concept of Uniteam that the different parties are, different political parties have joined together to form Uniteam. No? Since my brother is carrying PNP or the Partido ng Masang Pilipino of my father, former President Erap, Lakas CMD and other major parties, I think that's the primary consideration why he was chosen instead of me. So, Karen, I think it's it has its pros and cons. I think it turned out to be a blessing because I'm able to elaborate more on my platforms, my programs and accomplishments. And unlike in 2019, Karen, when we were together in Hong Kong, what was really highlighted was the sibling rivalry. So at least now, it is the programs, the plans, and more importantly, the accomplishments. Like universal healthcare law, the people now are realizing that it was me who really principally sponsored this very important piece of legislation.
Yeah, that's quite interesting because in the beginning of the campaign, you said it's 2019 all over again. You both lost in 2019, but the irony is you are both in the Magic 12 this time. Okay, let's talk about that. You're running independent. Clearly, you even said, I don't think you even have advertisements. Do you have political advertisements now, JV?
Now already, Karen, thank God. No? A lot of people have given me support. It was, to be honest also, Karen, no? I was not really prepared to run 2 consecutive national elections. It's really taxing. It's very, very expensive. I was prepared for 2019, but I was not prepared for this one. So I had some funding problems at the start. So probably that's the reason why at first I was very low in the surveys because there was no political advertisement, no collateral. So, but now a lot of people have been, wow, I'm overwhelmed, Karen, that a lot of people I'm not even close to have been calling me and sending support, no, whether financially or politically. So now I have political advertisement already, although not a lot, a few spots, 1 or 2 spots a day, but I think it really helped boost my ratings, Karen. No? I'm now in the top 12 in most
and
of the
more
surveys.
than the top 12, I wanted to ask you, well, of course, there are different surveys, but in the SWS survey, you are actually not in the bottom 12, but you rank higher in the SWS. This was taken by the end of February. You were like a number 6 or 7, is that correct?
Yes, number 7. Actually, Karen, I was also surprised of the surge, but probably because my ads started running February 8th, so probably after a week there was already absorption, no? And probably I think I owe a lot to my jingle, which is very catchy, and I think it was the messaging, no? That,
so you believe the good one messaging is now working now?
I don't think so, Karen, because I think in 2019 it also helped me, but it came too late, no? One before elections, so the absorption wasn't there anymore. But this time it's earlier, so there's the recall factor is very, very important, Karen, in the national election. So like yesterday, Karen, I just like to tell you a story, no? When I bought coffee while waiting for my flight in NAIA, and the servers were singing my jingle, so I think it's already working, no? The recall factor and I think the good one and the messaging more importantly, Karen, it's the platforms and programs that's more important.
So very quickly, you and Jinggoy still have not spoken to each other at all?
Not at this time, Karen. No? Especially, probably, we're both busy in our own sorties.
Okay, but what happens if you both win? Will you be in the same super majority, or will one of you, like yourself, join the minority? What will happen in the Senate, JV?
Well, it depends, Karen, on who will be elected as the Senate President. No? That's how the majority and minority is
And who
chosen.
do you want as Senate President?
Well, I would prefer somebody who I have worked with and comfortable with. So there are a lot of candidates. Possible
but there are a few names
there.
I'm hearing. So you have Mig Zubiri, there's Cynthia Villar, and a few others. But for you personally, who would you want to be as Senate President?
Well, I'm quite close to Cynthia Villar also. She is our mama bear. But I have to be honest, Senator Mig Zubiri has been like a brother to me. We've been together in the seatmates, and he has been instrumental, Karen, in my passage of the 2 landmark legislations, no? Universal Healthcare and Department of Human Settlements. I, as principal sponsor, he was really pushing me when he was majority leader, trying to schedule the debates and calendar all of both of these landmark legislation. So
Yeah.
I really owe him a lot, and he has been very helpful also in my candidacy as
Okay. Now, there are many who are also disappointed, in effect, or more of like concerned with how the Senate is turning out. This could be the 19th Congress, could be the first, wherein you have so many family members together at the same time, right? So there will be 2 Estradas, you and Jinggoy, possibly 2 Cayetanos at the same time, Pia and Alan. You'll have also maybe 2 Binays, Jojo and Nancy, father and daughter, that's 6. You'll also have, I'm missing one more, Villar, Cynthia and Mark. This is based on the showings and the surveys. So you'll have actually like 4 pairs of relatives in the Senate. JV, I know that you've always supported the Antidynasty Law. What do you make of the current or the setup to be in the Senate and your stand on anti-dynasty?
Well, Karen, to be honest, no, I thought about that also, no, that scenario before the start of the deadline, no. Sabi ko parang hindi maganda tignan, no, parang iilang pamilya na lamang, no. I also thought about running for local again. Because I didn't want to run together with again alongside with my brother, because it will really affect my chances of winning. As I said, it's 2019 all over again. Plus the fact parang it doesn't look good that just a few members of the family. As you mentioned, Karen, I really believe in supporting the anti-political dynasty, because I believe that we are 100 million Filipinos, no? And I think there are a lot of people who are also willing to serve, who are also capable, who just doesn't have the name and the machinery for them to make it into onto office, no? But Karen, I thought this, I heard about this, but with the pandemic that has happened, it exposed and exacerbated the healthcare system. I think. And I told myself, looking from the outside, that if only the universal healthcare law was really implemented properly and given priority, it will help a lot, alleviate a lot of problems that have sprung up during the pandemic. And I think it's my mission and obligation really to complete the UHC, the Department of Housing, because passage is only half of it and the implementation phase is the other half. It is a 10-year program, Karen. It's a work in progress. So that is really my mission and obligation, that, against all the odds, I know it will be an uphill battle from the start for me because of my brother running also. I'm not an incumbent. But I feel it's my mission and obligation to really complete this. No? Kasi napasa na natin, sayang naman yung opportunity na mapaganda natin na talagang maging effective. No? In terms of legislative accomplishments, Karen, I think I would be already quota na ako, no? With the 2 landmark legislations, a lot of significant laws passed, credited to my name. But Karen, it's not that. I would want it to be really effective, and to be felt by the people. Na talaga dapat zero balance billing, that the Filipino
and how
people,
would
hindi na sila problema.
If you won a Senate seat, how would you implement that? Ang problema ng universal healthcare law is money. We are ending 2022 with a 13 trillion peso debt, right? And this is a post-pandemic economy. So you do have issues with revenue generation. How would you fund the universal healthcare law, JV?
Well, Karen, that has been thought of, no? And it has been studied, no, before we implemented before we passed the UHC. No, the revenues would come from the sin taxes and also from the PAGCOR and PCSO social fund. No, we will all pull them all together into one general universal healthcare fund. I know that there are problems because as it was being implemented, pandemic struck. No, so it was not only the Philippines who was really struggling in fighting this pandemic. It's the whole world that was struggling. But Karen, I think it is still possible. We can make sacrifices elsewhere. We can tighten the belts of other departments. As former vice chairman of the Committee on Finance, we know for a fact there are a lot of departments that have very big allocations, very big budget.
Like
but
what?
At the end of,
Yeah.
but at the end of the year, they do not use it. Yung unused portion of their budget. So we will look into these departments that are really not efficient in spending their budget, and probably we can channel it to the universal healthcare law, because we can make sacrifices in other areas. But I think we really have to survive this pandemic first, and we cannot sacrifice healthcare. So I think it is still possible.
I wanted to ask you where you stand on Isabong, simply because there are sectors that are saying just actually make Isabong more transparent in terms of giving it a franchise, a license, so that you can tax it higher and use it for the universal health care. So I've heard that argument too. But then there are those that really want Isabong cut out because of what it's done to the poorest of the poor in the Philippines in terms of gambling addiction. So, JV, where do you stand there?
Well, Karen, as the principal sponsor and author of the Universal Healthcare, I'll be happy if they will be able to give us bigger revenues, no, by making it legal, no, Isabong, because as you mentioned, revenue is quite a problem because of the pandemic and the effect on the economy. But we really have to weigh things, no, especially the social costs that the Isabong is causing, no, as you mentioned, a lot of poor people, a lot of are being affected, no, because of being lured into gambling. Because I'm not really a gambler, Karen, kasi that's why we have to really look into the social costs, no, before we really, in case I make it to the Senate and should we decide, we have to weigh and the pros and cons, the revenue, the potential revenue that it will generate. Of course, I'll be happy if it will be channeled to universal health care. But we have to also consider the social cost that this new gaming activity has brought out, no, in the present times.
So you are not exactly anti-Isabong, because there are candidates who are speaking out and already want Isabong stopped. So where do you stand on that, JV?
Well, Karen, I think if we have to weigh the revenues that will be generated and also the social costs, probably I will always side with the social cost, because if it will affect the poorer sector of our society, then it will not be worth it.
Okay. All right. Now, you mentioned that one of the strengths of this administration was build, right? You said that in an interview. Now, presidential aspirant Senator Panfilo Lacson said that technically speaking, out of the 119 infra flagship projects, only 14 were completed, not 12, but 14. Do you still consider build a success?
I think, Karen, I'm an advocate of infrastructure development and transport modernization, because I really believe that this will be the key to stimulate economic growth in the provinces, no, in the whole country. Because it will spread out the development. We will create growth development areas in all the provinces that will, for example, the railway system, Mindanao railway system, the Northern Luzon, all the provinces that will have stations will be a growth development areas. We can have industrial parks, we can have commercial centers, food terminals to support agriculture. So it is really a long-term program, Karen. That's why in case I make it to the Senate, Karen, one of the first bills I would intend to file is a comprehensive master plan for infrastructure development and transport modernization. Because when you plan for these big infra items, it's really 50 to 100 years, Karen. So that whoever sits as president, we have a blueprint already that the country will follow. Na kahit sinong umupong pangulo, we will follow this blueprint for transport modernization para magtuloy-tuloy ang transport infrastructure development. Karen, I think in the last 20-30 years, we are already behind our neighbors. That's why in terms of foreign direct investments, only in ASEAN, I'm not talking of Asia. It's Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and usually it's Philippines. Now it's Vietnam. We are number 6 already in terms of those that are really attractive in foreign investments because of two things: high cost of electricity and very poor infrastructure. But we used to spend only 2% of GDP for infrastructure, and it should be 5%. But I'm quite happy, whatever we say about the president, I think in terms of infra development, humabol tayo eh. No? I think we are more than 5% of the GDP. I think if we can increase it to 8% para makahabol tayo with our Asian neighbors, before we open up our economy, hopefully our infrastructure development will be at par already. So I still believe that we need to continue this. We have to have a blueprint that the government will follow. Whoever sits as president, we need to implement this blueprint and master plan for infrastructure development to stimulate economic growth.
Okay. Now, speaking of President Duterte, I just remembered, he did endorse your brother, Jinggoy Estrada. Are you actively seeking his endorsement?
Actually, Karen, I was the very first senatorial candidate that he endorsed. I got my endorsement
formally
last month.
Formally.
Yes, Karen. I was the very first. In fact, it came as a surprise. I was not expecting it. So I am still thankful for the president for the trust and confidence. And being the first senatorial candidate to be endorsed, of course, it's really an honor to be endorsed by the president.
Now, that's quite interesting because I haven't seen yet. I don't think there are posters of you and the president around. Am I correct?
None yet. But
Exactly.
there's a video. But there's already a video endorsement posted on my social media page, and I think we will air it in the areas like Mindanao.
Okay. All right. Now, you are with NPC, but earlier on you did express, of course, your disappointment and you're wanting to be with Uniteam. You talked about how loyal your father was and even your mother to the late Ferdinand Marcos. What's interesting is you do have some candidates now calling on Bongbong Marcos to actually pay his taxes. The BIR recently has issued a demand letter demanding that he pay 200 billion pesos in estate taxes. That's accrued with interest. And you have some candidates like Isko Moreno saying that he will collect that if he wins and use it for the needs of kung ano man. Ayuda, tulong, universal healthcare law even. So where do you stand on that in terms of Mr. Marcos having this tax liability of 200 billion?
Well, Karen, we should be a government of laws and not of men. No? If it's really due, then I think it should be paid. But I think the government has to really improve its legal team, no? Because through the years, they've been losing their cases against the Marcoses, no? So, I think in fairness to BBM, I think he has to be given the due process also, no? If it will be proven, then he has to pay, but he has to be given due process, just like any other citizen. It's really hard naman to say to pay his taxes if we do not really have enough document and any evidence, no, for him to be compelled to.
Okay, but then given the fact that this has been through the years, considering you were a lawmaker, do you believe that laws were already broken by the fact that if an ordinary Filipino doesn't pay their taxes, one could probably get arrested, or you'd be taken to court, or you'd have your property maybe sequestered even?
Well, I think I still believe in a government. We have to be a government of laws. Then, if it's found there's really enough insufficient evidence, then anybody he has to pay. No, but I just hope that he will be given really the due process. So it has to be proven beyond reasonable doubt that he really owes that much to the government. It's political season kasi, Karen, eh. So it's really I don't really like to ride on issues until there's really enough evidence to really prove that there was really tax liabilities.
All right. We are going to take a quick break. We are going to continue our conversation with senatorial aspirant JV Ejercito. Stay with us. right, welcome back. We're still with independent senatorial candidate JV Ejercito. JV, many have had different views, especially when it comes to the ICC probe. If you win, what do you make of the ICC, of course, on its own, investigating the president on the drug war? But would you vote or allow them to be in? Of course, this would be a presidential prerogative, but would you support them being in the country?
Well, Karen, I think President being a lawyer, astute lawyer at that, I think he can defend himself, no? Just in case the ICC will really conduct its probe. So, ako naman, as I said, I will always stick to us being government of laws, no, and not of men. So,
how do you describe yourself, JV? Are you opposition? Are you centrist? Are you pro-government? Because it's quite interesting where you stand.
well, I would say, Karen, that I am pro-development. No? I am not loyal to any particular person. Our kind of political system, kasi our presidential system is based really on personalities. So I'm asked several times, where is my loyalty? No, yung mga DDS, they think I'm Dilawan. Dilawans think I'm DDS. You know, I would support anything that would really improve the conditions of our people. Now, after all, when I was in the Senate, I was given the mandate. It was the people who elected me and given me the mandate. So I have to be loyal to the Filipino people. So when I worked with the Aquino administration...
If that's your description of yourself, what about leadership accountability then? You seem to be safe when it comes to calling out leaders. For example, I want to ask you, is the president accountable for the deaths in the drug war? Should he answer for that? Would you have... Go ahead.
Well, Karen, as I said, if there's enough evidence, then we have to go to the process. But again, if he just has to be given due process. That's my position on any accusations, as on any issues or cases. Everyone has to be given that the due process, that he has to be able to defend himself.
Yeah.
No,
would you
Yes,
have
Karen.
signed? Would you have signed the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee report, of which Senator Richard Gordon said that in the end Duterte was the mastermind of the whole formally anomalous transactions? The fact that he allowed it under his watch and also defended the personalities involved in the formally anomalies.
Well, Karen, I'm not to defend President Duterte. No, I'm not really part of the inner circle of the Duterte administration, and I think I have known him since we were both mayors. No, in fact, we signed cityhood agreement between Davao and San Juan while I was mayor and he was mayor. So we go back a long way, and I know President Duterte. Duterte is a very simple person. In fact, Karen, every time I visit, he would ask me, have lunch after dinner event. Karen, hindi pa ako nakakatikim ng mamahaling restaurant dyan. Yung mga preferences niya, really, yung mga conchis, mga calendarias, simple things, durianan. So I think, Karen, the President's lifestyle, he is not extravagant, very simple. Motor lang yan, simple food. So probably it's the people around, no, around him that really took advantage, no. But as they say, Karen, it's really difficult to be on top. It's slowly at the top. You only get the information that is fed to you, and most of the time, you know, I've been in the palace. I've seen how it works, and people are so afraid to tell the president the truth, no, of what is really happening. They only tell him of what is music to their ears, of everything positive. So yan po ang problema. That's why, Karen, I really appreciate Presidente. One time in 2019, when he endorsed me, he told the crowd that ito si JB minsan kritiko ito ng administrasyon ko, no? Pero ako mas gusto ko na 'yan kaysa naman yung sabi ng maganda pero hindi yung totoo. So he even appreciated my being a critic or somebody who tells the truth.
Yeah, my question is, would you have signed the committee report if you were a senator?
I think it's not ako personally, I don't think it's the president. Probably it's the people around, probably, who really took advantage. Because given, as I mentioned, his lifestyle, he's not really extravagant.
Okay.
Very simple. So I don't think he will really tolerate those things. So probably it's just, yun nga, he's very reliant on the information that is fed to him.
All right. Okay, if you win a Senate seat, let's talk about the NTF-LCAC funding. The NTF-LCAC has been red tagging personalities in this campaign, starting with Vice President Leni Robredo. There are complaints already against Undersecretary Badoy. You have colleagues who've said they regret funding the NTF-LCAC with that much money if the focus was going to be on red tagging individuals. What would you do if you win a Senate seat, JV?
Well, I have also the chance. I had the chance to talk to a lot of local officials. So I've been going around on my own. I had the chance to be able to chat with them, and in some areas they are really in favor of the NTF-LCAC because of, especially in the areas where there's insurgency, secessionist rebellion. According to them, that has really helped them in their anti-insurgency by having more development and more funding through projects in their areas. No? So in that manner, I think I would support. But I think yung red tagging, that has to be studied further. No? We just don't red tag just for political reasons. No? Kasi political season ngayon eh. So it's really difficult.
Yeah. But considering the NTF-LCAC, I think they even asked for, it's already 25 billion a year. That was like a 30% increase from their previous budget. And yet, what's happened is they've been red tagging, and also in terms of projects, I believe that the performance wasn't very good as well.
Well, Karen, I won't prioritize NTF-LCAC. I still believe that the reason for why there is insurgency, for example, in Mindanao, insurgency in the eastern side, rebellion and secessionists in the western and central Mindanao through the decades, is because of poverty and lack of opportunities. So I still believe that we really have to stimulate economic growth in the countrysides. Kaya nga I really push for the Mindanao railway system. Babalik ko lang dito sa transport. But I really feel that this is really the direction for lasting peace in Mindanao. No? Just Karen, quickly, if the Mindanao railway system is completed, it will be circumferential and it will go around the whole of Mindanao. All of the provinces that previously had no opportunities, that were really poor areas, will have a chance to have growth development areas, will now have jobs and opportunities once completed. And I believe that when people have now jobs and opportunities in areas, especially in insurgency affected areas and rebellion affected areas, then when people have jobs and opportunities, hindi na po sila gutom, I think the rebellion and insurgency will slowly die, no? Kasi meron ng opportunity ang tao.
Okay.
The reason that they are able to get support because of poverty, hungry stomach. Yan po ang rason.
Okay. Last two questions. You described Build, Build, Build as one of this administration's successes. What would you say was the failure of this administration? What could it have done better?
Well, Karen, just like any other countries, no, we are still struggling but now we are improving now. And during the pandemic, it really exacerbated and exposed the weakness of our healthcare system. Okay. We still have a lot of things to be done. Marami pa tayong kailangan gawin.
But
why,
what
Karen,
could the president have done better, considering his popularity, the support of the people? What could he have done better?
Karen, I think for the agricultural sector, I think it will improve food security. I'm not in favor of too much importation. Yung smuggling has to be stopped. No,
So
we have
you
a
would,
law
if you win,
Yes.
you'd vote against the rice tariffication law. You'd want that either amended or scrapped.
Yes. Yes, Karen, I would. No, because from the start, I'm the author also of the anti-agricultural smuggling law. No, that considers smuggling of agricultural products already heinous crime and economic sabotage. But sad to say, Karen, its passage in 2015, I think, wala pang nahuhuli na big-time smuggler, no, under this law. But ang nangyari, left and right, the agencies were issuing letter of authority to import na lang tayo na import. So it's really killing our agricultural sector. The farmers are already one of the poorest sector in the society. Tapos, pag pumasok pa yung mga imported products, lalo na sila walang kikitain. So, I believe, Karen, that this has to be reviewed, yung talaga unscrupulous issuance of import permits, because we have to support our agriculture sector. The only way that we can really strengthen them is for them to make revenues. Dapat kumita rin sila.
Okay. Last words, I guess. I mean, what number are you in the ballot, and what do you want to say to the viewers?
Well, I'm number 22, Karen. I'm seeking support. I'm nakikiusap po talaga ako sa ating mga kababayan. It's really a tough battle this time, but I have a mission and obligation, and that is really, ang priority ko is really to complete the universal healthcare law. Pagbigyan nyo lang po akong tapusin po ito. It's a 10-year program. It's a work in progress, and I think the wisdom of the principal sponsor who knows the history, the intention, and purpose of this law will be very much needed and very helpful in its proper implementation. Target natin really is really to improve the quality of life of our people, and one of which is one of the biggest burdens is really medical expenses. I know that because I was a former local chief executive, as former mayor. I know how heavy this is. So I'm just hoping that I'll be given the chance by the Filipino people to be able to complete this law. No, para naman mas maramdaman ng ating makabayan ang universal healthcare law. Dapat zero balance billing na. Dapat maramdaman na ang gobyerno ay nandyan para umalalay sa ating lahat. And Karen, I'm hoping that maibalik natin ang good sa Senado. Number 22 sa balota. JV Ersito po.
All right. Thank you very much, JV Ejercito. Good luck to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
That's Get Start today. I'm Karen Davila. Thanks for watching. Stay informed and stay with ANC.